Hi everyone, Dr. Suneel Dhand. Welcome to another video. Now I am wearing my full doctor attire today because I want to tell you something very important regarding how you can strengthen and fortify your immune system as we approach the depths of the winter virus season. Now it's very interesting. I've worked up and down the East Coast over the last few years in multiple different states, and I'm still on various email lists from different authorities. And I get emailed a list of recommendations that we should give to our patients, both before winter, during winter, all of the things that we should be telling our patients to do, X, Y, Z. And it's all about, as you can imagine, the same things: isolation, therapeutics, but there's never one word ever on all of the natural things that we could easily be talking to our patients that would also help strengthen their immune system. So that's what I'm going to focus on here. Now, of course, everybody out there is welcome to look at the advice from their own local public health agency and talk to their own doctors, because everybody is different. Everybody is unique. There's never any one-size-fits-all approach. But I do think in general, most people can benefit from what I'm about to tell you. Now, of course, as one ages, immune system does decline. That's a sad reality of life, with very marked declines in the elderly population. They are the most vulnerable to any common respiratory viral infection. But I still say at any age, most people can benefit from these 5 pieces of advice. Number 1, diet. This is the biggest contributor to our metabolic and immune health. Hippocrates, the father of medicine, knew this 2,500 years ago. We are what we eat, but we have completely lost our way over the last few decades. We are addicted in Western countries, especially the United States, to a diet high in ultra-processed foods. In fact, most of our intake now is through ultra-processed foods. That is terrible. And linked to ultra-processed foods are sugars, which are often added in unbelievable amount. So you want to minimize your intake of ultra-processed foods and sugars. Look for other ingredients as well. Now, when you look at ingredient labels, it is often shocking how many ingredients are contained in food. A good rule is you want as few as possible, ideally 2 or less. But food nowadays is packed with additives, preservatives, hormones sometimes, and seed oils. That's another big one, which leads to millions of people walking around in a pro-inflammatory state that is going to do nothing for their immune systems. Again, the general rule is as few ingredients as possible, and you want a healthy, well-balanced, nutritious diet as natural as possible. So when you're in a grocery store in the United States, a good rule to follow is stay as close to the aisles as possible. It is the middle that will contain all of that junk, rubbish, processed food. And it's not just what we eat, it's what we drink as well. Sodas are a big offender, very high in sugars, ludicrous amount of sugar added to some sodas. And also be very careful with young people. I'm amazed when it comes to children and what they're eating, how many parents basically feed their child dessert first thing in the morning. That is not good for their metabolic or immune health. We have an absolute explosion right now of diseases which are linked to our intake of ultra-processed foods and sugars, including type 2 diabetes, and even the stage before type 2 diabetes, insulin resistance, is now a pandemic. And when you run at a higher than normal sugar, which is combined with a higher insulin level, that really isn't good for our immune health. And that's why we see diabetics really struggle with infections. They take a longer time to recover because their immune system is depressed. So what should we be eating then? Well, the good foods are well known. Let's start with vegetables and fruits. A good rule to follow is 5 servings a day. That will be packed usually with all of the vitamins, other trace elements that you need. And also remember antioxidants. Antioxidants are critical for maintaining a healthy immune system. Various foods are high in antioxidants, but my personal favorite are blueberries. I eat them almost every single day, full of antioxidants. Number 2, exercise. Now, I know a lot of people struggle with exercise in the winter because you can't get outdoors as much in a cold climate. But I really do recommend maintaining your exercise over the winter to keep your immune health as strong as possible. If you can't exercise at home indoors, join a class or a gym. And my rule is 1 hour a day. Now, I know a lot of people find this impossible to even imagine, but if you exercise for 1 hour a day, it's not just that 1 hour where you will experience the benefits. There will be a knock-on effect with multiple other benefits during the course of the day, including improved concentration. You'll have an energy boost. You may even sleep better. We'll come to that in a moment. But during that 1 hour, I completely switch everything else off. I switch my phone off to alerts. I may listen to music. I may listen to a podcast. But I am strict about that. And I think 1 hour a day of exercise is a good goal to aim for. Now, with regards to what type of exercise, I recommend a mix of cardio and strength training. Strength training is also very important at all ages, but actually it can become even more important in the elderly population to maintain muscle mass. And obviously find something that you really enjoy, that you can stick to as an exercise routine. And actually both of the things I just talked about, exercise and diet, actually diet is probably more important than exercise, but both are obviously very crucial for helping you maintain an ideal body weight. Because what we do know is that carrying excess body fat is not good at all for your immune system. And we've seen examples of that over the last couple of years. Try to be as close to an ideal body weight as possible. I'm not talking about being too skinny or being a bodybuilder, but try to maintain an ideal body weight with as little excess fat as possible. Number 3, get outdoors as much as possible. Now, we are creatures that are built to be outdoors in nature. It is not normal to spend weeks and months cooped up indoors, as many people do over the winter. So my advice is to avoid being indoors for prolonged periods of time, even during the winter. The more you can get outside, the better it is for your immune health as well. And what could be the possible link? Well, as most of you know, vitamin D is synthesized from sunlight. And if we're indoors and not getting any sunlight, how will we naturally synthesize any vitamin D? Vitamin D, as well as being important for your bones, is a crucial component of your immune system. How much vitamin D do you get from being outside? Well, there's a lot of debate about this. It depends on many different factors, including skin tone and where you are in the world. But the last estimate that I read was that if you go outdoors when the sun is out in the spring or summer, get about 15 to 20 minutes of sunlight, it can synthesize up to 1,000 units of vitamin D. But again, whatever the actual number is, and that's up for debate, the bottom line is you need to be getting some sunlight and some natural vitamin D. Now, a lot of people take supplementation over the winter. I started doing this myself a few years ago. I take 1,000 units of vitamin D about 3 or 4 times a week during the winter. I don't do it every day because the idea of taking a pill every single day doesn't sit well with me, and I like to do things naturally. But I decided after reading the evidence on this topic that vitamin D, if you live in a colder part of the world where we have long winters, it's very difficult to get adequate vitamin D in the winter. That's why I made the decision to take supplements. But actually a really good thing to do, if you haven't already, is ask your doctor to check your vitamin D levels. It's often shocking how low they are. So get them checked and then you can take everything from there. Number 4, sleep. Sleep is when our bodies regenerate and heal. And if we're not sleeping enough, our immune system is not going to be optimized. Everybody knows their own sweet spot for sleep. Generally, it's somewhere between 6 to 8 hours of uninterrupted sleep. And it's very important to practice other good sleep habits, like be as relaxed as possible before you go to sleep so you can have an uninterrupted sleep. Don't do things such as eat right before you sleep or look at your screen before you sleep. Do everything you can to be as relaxed as possible because that sleep is crucial for your immune health as well. And how many times have people gone a few days without sleeping well, or they've been traveling, sleep-wake cycle has been thrown off, and bingo, they pick up an infection. Happens all the time. Number 5, stress. Do everything you can to manage any stress in your life. So many millions of people out there are chronically stressed. And when your stress hormones, cortisol and adrenaline are high, that will cause absolute chaos within your metabolic and immune system. In fact, how many times have doctors heard patients tell them stories about being stressed during a period in their life and then boom, they have picked up an infection. And in fact, it's not just infection, any illness seems to have a link with stress. Stress really depresses your immune system. And maybe you all have experienced this as well. You've been stressed during a time in your life and you've picked up an infection. So being stressed all the time, not good. Whatever you can do to take yourself away from that stress, whatever works for you, whether it's getting outdoors, spending time with family and friends, whether it's watching a comedy show on TV, whether it's a hobby, whether it's exercise, do whatever you can to manage the stress in your life and take those cortisol and adrenaline hormones down. So those are 5 things then that really most people can do to help strengthen and fortify their immune systems as we approach the depths of winter. Of course, medical establishments everywhere should be emphasizing these points all the time. They should literally be on every single broadcast, but they hardly ever do. But I do hope you can benefit from some of these tips. Remember the 5 things then: working on your diet, exercising enough, getting outdoors, working on your sleep, and managing any stress in your life. If you can do 1 or 2 of these things, great. If you can do all 5, even better. That's the best. Thanks everyone for listening. Dr. Suneel Dhand. Do let me know your thoughts down below. Hit the subscribe button for more similar videos in the future. Also hit the bell button so you get notified when I make more videos. We will talk again very soon.